It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Good morning and welcome to Tuesday Travel and Cruise Industry News, March the 14th, 2023, coming to you off the coast of Mexico. I guess we're probably considered central Mexico now, as we are en route to Puerto Vallarta. We'll be in there tomorrow for the last port of call on this lovely 14-day cruise that I've been on the MS San Dam. It's a very weak day for cruise news today. There's only two stories, and I, quite frankly, folks, couldn't decide which story to use as the lead, so I flipped a coin. So the lead story today is, oops, Royal Caribbean makes a mistake. And we'll also talk this morning about celebrity Millennium rescues 35. But boy, this is going to be a curveball on that story too. That and a lot more here this morning at 11 to keep my tongue working. Anyway, lovely day here. It's nice, warm, sunny, blue skies. We've had pretty good weather on this cruise. Of course, I realize I'll be going back into cold weather soon. I don't like that at all. Today, folks, is National Potato Chip Day. I can deal with that. There are several places on the ship that I can get some chips. But go out and have some lunch with chips today, or dinner with chips. Or just go get a bag of chips out of your cupboard and eat some chips to celebrate. National Tater Chip Day. That's pretty cool. If you're listening via the podcast, welcome aboard as always. You can access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcasts from. All the big hitters, just search for travel and cruise industry news, and up pops the Fat Travel Guy. If you are listening to the podcast and want to hop over for the video feed, there's always a link in the description, so you can do just that for days that I have pictures and clips and whatnot that I may be sharing, like today. All right, couple things to share with you this morning. Of course, Katie and Angela are on the transatlantic on Symphony of the Seas. Of course, that's Angela. And there's our friend Katie, and it does look like there may be some adult beverages involved. This last night they ate at, 150 Central Park. And they've been hanging out with, of course, that's Angela again on another night. And Angela has, what I told her when I had lunch with them a couple of weeks ago, some of her outfits are just amazing. And I really believe that Angela is probably one of the few people in the world who can pull that look off. And she is just fabulous. And that, of course, is our lovely Katie. They've been hanging out with some of the named people in our world. That, of course, is Chris Wong. And that would be David from Ben and David. How about that? Now, between Katie and Angela, they have shared literally hundreds of pictures. So you can always access their stuff and take a look. Hot Air Tom is finally back home. This was a slight shot from Cindy when she got on the plane, thinking, oh my God, just let me get home before I kill him. Of course, 10 times a day, she says, I'm going to kill him. And of course, that's referring to Hot Air Tom. Well, this particular time, what she was upset about was that, Hot Air Tom tends to get in trouble. So when they were in Israel, he went down to the Wailing Wall and tried to climb it. He didn't understand that that's not what that wall was for. So he got into trouble climbing the wall. I think it was probably he got in too much sun out there chasing camels in the desert, trying to get a job as a camel jockey. And my favorite church lady, Rochelle, she's over there in Portugal now, Canary Islands. And of course, that's one of the cathedral on Canaria, Gran Canaria. So more than you start adding them up. But anyway, she visits a church, at least one church, every port of call. So good for her. I'll be back with a couple news stories, which we're going to have fun with today. These are not, overly serious stories. I'll tell you that right up front, folks. But they are newsworthy. I'll be back after this word from Scooter Round.
Do you have a bad back, bad hips, bad knees, or any other mobility issues? Think about Scooter Round. For scooters, walkers, wheelchairs, even oxygen needs, delivered right to your cabin. Scooter Round for all your mobility needs on your upcoming cruise.
Talking to a lady last night, and she said she was walking with a cane, and she says, I think the next cruise I'm just going to have to break down and get a scooter. I said, by all means, do it. And I explained to her, I said, I've been using Scooter Round now for like 8 years. It might be 9 years now. I'd have to go back and look. It's the only way to go. It's the only way that I can do what I do, not only for me, but for the disabled community as well, as we try to look at accessibility on cruise ships and on ports of call. And quite frankly, from the standpoint of folks that are sitting at home feeling sorry for themselves, you don't do it anymore. You get out and go. I do it solo too. So yeah, the days of staying home and feeling sorry for yourself because the health issues haven't been the way you want them to be. I understand that, and I certainly have empathy for that because I've been there. But I'm telling you, my life is so much better now than it was then. So, scoot around. That's the only way to go. All right. I've been a little amiss the last couple of days talking about the cruise in August. This is the Sapphire Princess, August 30th cruise from Anchorage, that's Whittier, to Vancouver. And not only is Bonnie and Amigo John and myself going to be on it, of course, Nate's going to be on it. So there'll be some people there that will be happy to pal up with you to do almost anything. We still have some terrific cabins left. The cruise itself goes to, you got 2 days of sailing and glaciers. And and goes to the normal stops: Skagway, Ketchikan, Juneau, of course, and then into Vancouver. We have had a couple of the categories drop prices, and that gets passed right along to you. The latest board we've got out, rates start at $628. That's for a solo cabin, folks. Solo. Now you do have to add the taxes and port charges to that. It's $250. That's for everybody. We do still have 2 balcony cabins available, and my understanding is it's the only 2 balcony cabins available on the entire ship. We have some insides. We have some ocean views. We have both solos and double occupancy. And then join us. We're going to have some fun. And I tell you, when you get, Bonnie, John, Nate, and me, and who else together, it's going to be entertaining. I will promise you that. If you're interested in some of the excursions, you get 10% off on the whale watching excursion. Just use the promo code Chillie23. And you also get a discount on the Skagway tours, which would be the tour up to Michelle Phillips and the dogs. Of course, the Iditarod is going on right now. I believe it's either going on or it's about to start, and they're getting ready for it. So it's a busy time up there for Michelle right now. But I'm looking forward to going up there and playing with some of her puppies that will eventually be Iditarod dogs. So, all right, guys, I'll be back with a couple news stories after a quick break from one of our network sponsors. All right, so the top story today, folks, and this is, again, I couldn't decide which story to use as the lead story today. That's how ridiculous it is. First, I got to tell you, we diverted a disaster yesterday, and somebody might need to correct me on this if I'm wrong. This is something that I've had iffy signals in the mornings again today, so I couldn't research as much as I would like to have. But yesterday, we pulled into our port of call in Huatulco. There was a ship already at the pier, a smaller ship than ours. And as we were pulling into port, some people could see on the deck of the ship next to us, they were putting together a rather large group of people for an excursion. They got off the ship just simultaneously to the time that our ropes were being thrown aboard and all the hooking up and tying off procedures that you go through on the pier, to the point of where people were in the way of the crew trying to get the ship tied off. And at that point, there's still some movement in the ship until it's secured. The ship could have hit the pier, could have knocked things crazy, and you got these people out there right in the middle of it. They could have got hit by those big ropes. There could be a number of bad things happen. It was my assumption that when a ship is come to a pier, profit. I mean, you're done. You just have to sit there and wait. Because I've had to wait, several times, both in coming back on the ship and getting off the ship until, the pier next to us, they got in and got this ship secured. Now, thankfully, nothing happened. but it certainly looked like a pretty sticky situation to me. And am I not correct in that? Aren't they supposed to have closed the pier off? And then let's say something had happened, who would have been responsible? I would think that since we were coming into pier, we were still under the control of the harbor pilot. Or is our captain still in control of his vessel? Again, I don't know the procedures on that as far as the legalities are involved. And then how about the other ship? That captain would be responsible for his passengers actually getting out and into harm's way as they were tying the ship off yesterday. That was just a dicey situation. And I'm not entirely sure where the responsibility would lie. I mean, thankfully, nothing happened, but it certainly asks some interesting questions. All right. I decided to use the other ship as the lead story today, but since I have this one first in the script, I'm going to talk about that first. The Celebrity Millennium cruise ship rescued 35 refugees from an adrift small boat that needed urgent help. Hey, that's nothing unusual anymore. There's been so many of those lately that a lot of these just you get ignored. So why am I making a big deal about another rescue? 2 of those refugees were reported to be children. Well, that's not that unusual either. According to passengers on board, the U.S. Coast Guard alerted the cruise ship about the small boat, resulting in the ship's captain changing course. That's a little unusual that the Coast Guard, in fact, let the captain know that, hey, there's this boat of refugees out there. How about picking them up? Because we're playing Uno. I don't know what excuse was given. That's a little unusual. Still, that's not the main unusualness of this story. Once the boat was started, the ship's crew launched one of its rescue boats. I did have a picture of that. I don't know what happened to the picture. But anyway, all 35 of the refugees were safely transferred to the Celebrity cruise ship. Usually in these cases, once the refugees are brought aboard, they're likely provided with medical attention, a blanket, food, and water. At the time of the rescue, the Celebrity ship was sailing between Tortola and St. Martin. The ship departed Tortola in the UK Virgin Islands at approximately 5 p.m. Once the refugees were on board, the cruise ship continued en route to its next scheduled port of St. Martin. Did you catch that, folks? Think where that ship is. This is a rescue boat of refugees from where? I hope the hell they're not from Cuba. I mean, what's that? 1,000 miles away? And if they're from Cuba, how did they get way down there? That's the part of the story that got me. Where did this ship come from? This boat. There's no information about that. The Celebrity cruise ship arrived as expected, and the 35 refugees were transferred to the authorities on land. Guests only had minor delay after the ship's arrival at the island, and they had a minor delay after the ship's arrival at the island to wait for the refugees to disembark. I sincerely hope that wasn't from Cuba. Hopefully it's from someplace Haiti or wow, even Haiti to I don't know. I'm just not sure about that one, folks. Anyway, there's no information on where it was from. And there was no information on why the Coast Guard's the one that notified the ship that there's this boat out there. Yeah, I want to pick them up. Yeah, they might be hitchhiking. That's not part of the story. All right, the other story. Oops. Royal Caribbean made a mistake. So some Royal Caribbean guests were sort of taken by surprise when they're looking at the website and they saw a new package called Premier Pass available for purchase for their sailing on the cruise line's website. The package, which was listed for $88.99 for the entire length of the cruise, appeared on Royal Caribbean's website over the weekend. The description said, "Introducing Premier Pass, our newest and most innovative vacation package for new guests." Well, now that would get my attention. I have several Royal Caribbean ships booked in the future. So, yeah, that would catch my attention. It listed the following things as part of this package: a welcome bottle of something I can't pronounce and have no idea what it is. I'm assuming it's a bottle of champagne. Priority embarkation and debarkation. That's okay. Inside access tour for 2 guests. Now, that's pretty cool. Officer's lunch for 2 guests. That's pretty nice. Unlimited access for 2 devices. That's pretty good as well. A captain's toast and photo. you know, I've met a lot of the captains, but you normally don't get the interaction with the captains on most ships like you do with Captain Kate, for instance. So that would be a plus for a lot of people, that, especially those that don't sail all the time like me. A wine pairing with someone that word that I never can pronounce. Sommelier. Anyway, the wine dude. The wine is complimentary, and laundry service, 1 bag per cabin. Okay, that's a nice little package for $88. I'd be tempted to jump all over that. Wouldn't you? The website said that the offer applied to bookings made between March the 10th of this year and March the 15th, and applied to select sailings departing March 14th and December 31st. So they're only going to offer that on bookings between March the 10th and the 15th on sailings of March the 14th and December 31st. Now, that's a little unusual to be that specific and that minimal. So, but still, guests that hit that criteria thought, well, that sounds like a pretty good deal. Probably too good to be true. And they grabbed it. I would have too. The Quick Line quickly retracted the offer the next day. In a response to inquiries about the Premier Pass, Royal Caribbean said, "We apologize for any confusion. The Premier Pass was listed in error and is not a Royal Caribbean product." What? You listed it on your website, folks. It's open to the whole world to see. They did add, "It's inclusive to our sister brand, Celebrity. If you purchase the packages, a refund will be processed back to the payment type used at the time of purchase." Well, it's better. Although it was a mistake on Royal Caribbean's site, Celebrity Cruises offered a Premier Pass on select sailings up until the shutdown. and it's still listed on their website. Oops. That mistake now goes to Royal Caribbean and Celebrity. And it's a pretty good package too. That's the sad part. I would have bought it. Maybe they ought to offer that. Just for the pain and suffering that they cause some people in this. Of course, you know me, I get a laugh out of it. Oh well. That's the oops story for the day. All right, that's actually the end of the news portion of the program. It's been a couple days. There hasn't been a whole lot of really newsworthy stuff out there, folks. Let's see who's with us in the chat room. Kenneth's with us. Good morning, Kenneth. Mike's here. Hey, Mike. Hot air. There's hot air, Tom. Cindy hasn't killed him yet. She's threatening to do that, however. Kenneth says he's tired of snow. I'm ready to go on a European cruise. Yeah, Kenneth, we got a long time to wait on that one. There's Cindy. Cindy's back home. Cindy and the girls have been out misbehaving. We won't talk about the misbehaving part. I'm sure Nick was glad to see you, Cindy. He was probably starving to death. Hot Air Tom says, I'm looking for a cruise friend to join me on the Dawn back-to-back boarding June 3rd. Chillie is busy with his Alaska cruise. Cindy decided she does not want to fly international after the long recent trip. And I wish I could go on that. I would love to do that. But I can't do that. That's the first Alaska cruise. I'm doing 2 this year. That's the other thing. It's nice. I do like Alaska. So anyone interested, I have a nice suite booked. One interested party would only need to book air. That wall was the Wailing Wall. And oh yeah, I knew that was the Wailing Wall that you tried to climb. Internet and laundry for $89. I would take that in a second. Rats, it was an April Fool joke. Yeah, it was something. It was just a mistake, they say. Why? If it's a mistake, does the same person control both websites? I mean, does the dude that sits back there and types in crap on Royal Caribbean, does he have control of Celebrity website as well? There's a lot of questions to ask from that. There's Gretchen. Hi, Gretchen. Gretchen's up in Ohio. They probably got some snow up there, too. Hot Air Tom says, I use NCL Air Perk. Don't know until they send the ticket. IFO 45 to 60 days pre-cruise. One good airline to check is TAP. They're very reasonable and nice seats. Cindy says, I booked Atlantis Aquaventure for $60 each for 2, and they took it away. Got $50 onboard credit, though. Should have known it was too good to be true. Yeah. Yeah, when those things happen, if you think it's too good to be true, it probably is. So, I mean, you always got to just kind of tread water on those. Be willing to be disappointed. Yo, Brooklyn in the house. Hey, Eddie. Good to see you, my friend. Cindy says Nick's doing just fine. I love my cruise with the girls. Next two cruises are with Nick, so he's happy. Oh, I know. I'm just teasing, Sin. Chillie, do you notice a difference from the Princess to other cruise lines when you go to Alaska, the service, and how they handle things? Quite frankly, Kenneth, I can't answer that yet because so far I have only sailed Royal Caribbean in Alaska. So I can't really compare it. But from what other people have said, yes. And they all do things a little bit differently. But yeah, Princess and Holland America are supposed to be the two best up there, unless you get into, the more expensive lines of the mass market lines. So I really can't answer that. I know Bonnie has done, I think she said 8 or 9 Alaska cruises on Princess. She, I mean, absolutely adores. And when she saw that, that ours is on a Princess ship, she jumped all over it. So she's actually more of the expert on this than I am. And quite frankly, I am really looking forward to being able to draw from her knowledge up there too. And between her and Nate, I mean, John and I will have it made. We got people that really know, what's going on up there, and that John and I are just kind of going to be the wandering around tourists for this one. Even though we're hosting the cruise, it's still going to be fun for everybody. But yeah, it's going to be nice to having those resources at hand. That's going to just make for just a terrific trip. So there's Nikki. Hi, Nikki. All right, guys, that's going to wrap me up for today. I am not changing schedule tomorrow when we're in Puerto Vallarta because with all the time differences and craziness, there's no way I could figure out how to do a show early. And I said, no. I think what's going to happen is we don't land until like showtime. So by the time we're done with the show, it'll be time for me to get off and go ashore. Is what I think's going to happen. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. Excuse me. And yeah, I still got a little bit of a nagging cough. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Coming to you live from Puerto Vallarta. And as always, guys, stay safe, stay healthy. Think about cruising. And hopefully one day soon, we'll all get together on the high seas, just like Bonnie and John and I and Nate are going to do in Alaska, August 30th. Why not join us? Have a fantastic day, everybody.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.